Hey guys, Jim here. Wanted to do another follow-up to the Obsessive Collecting series of videos. We'll make this part three and possibly the end of this series unless something else strikes me. I think what I want to talk about here, we've talked about the mentality that knife collectors have as we rage through the internet and amass our collections. And we've talked about overspending and overpaying versus what the street value is on a particular knife. What I'd like to talk about now is I kind of mentioned in the first video of how sometimes as a collector you kind of hit that wall and you realize this is the end of the run, at least temporarily. I'm where I want to be at. And I think I figured out a way for me with the obsessive personality, the addictive personality that I have, a way to keep things in check. And I'll tell you what inspired this. A friend of mine was asking, we were talking in general on Facebook about the knives that we have incoming. And if we could even remember all of the knives that we have coming in. And here was actually that list of stuff that I have coming. It's insane. And then I realized, oh my God, I have so many things inbound, most paid for, some not, some I'm waiting on a wait list for. And I look at the state of my collection as it is and go, wow, I've kind of almost got everything that I really want. So here's what I did. I went out and I bought a new pick and pluck foam for my Pelican 1500. And that's what I'm using now to store my knife collection. And I notched out a certain number of slots for the current collection that I have, and I left a certain number of open slots for pieces that I feel will fill the voids in my collection. And at that point, I want to stop. And at that point, when I decide, oh, I see something else that I want, one has to come out of the case for that one to replace it. And as I looked over my collection the other day, as I was negotiating the purchase of another new knife, I went, I only have one knife that I'm okay with giving up at this point. And I'll be doing my very first farewell video on this baby. I don't know if I'm going to upload that before this video or not, so that may already be on my channel. You can look for it. This was the last of what I own that I felt that I'm okay with giving that up. That's not a big deal. Everything else I look at, I go, I'll pick it up and go, no. Sentimental reasons, I don't want to give that up. No, Jesus, that's a beauty. And when am I going to find another one like that? No, I'm not going to give that up. And all these different reasons. And I kind of stopped and went, wow, maybe I finally reached that point. And here are some of the exciting things that we go through. One of the things I just did is I negotiated for what I feel is a good price on another Rockstead. I've got my Shin DLC here that I love. You guys know that that and my Una pretty much are my two favorite knives, period. And their flagship model, the Thai, I finally found one. The thing is, that's a $2,000 knife, and I just checked. The most recent price increase went through, and I verified that through Heine, one of the most popular websites for ordering the Rocksteads. The Thai right now in the ZDP 189 clad blade is now $2,300 US. So I feel that the deal I got, which was below $2,000, I feel is a fantastic deal, and I felt I needed to have that in my collection. But let me go through the list of things that I have incoming and see if this sounds familiar to you and how addictive and out of control this can be if you don't really keep track of it. I was very fortunate to just negotiate my way into a Holback Quaken, or the folder version, the Quayback, the flipper. Very excited about that. That fills a particular niche that I don't have in my collection at all. That should be in the next week. I should be receiving that. My Praetorian Thai from Medford is finally going to be here around August. Worked with one of our YouTube pimpers to work on a Boker Burnley Quaken for me, which is going to be out of this world amazing. That'll be here in the next 2 weeks. One of my most exciting ones from Tough Thumbs, the Tough Knives, Tough Tannic. That's going to be here in the next couple of weeks whenever he finally gets them finished. I was able to get on the list with Jesse Jarros. That's going to be a lifelong keeper right there. I'm super excited to get on that list. As you guys may know, now it's a 3 to 5 year wait if you're on his books right now. And I think he just closed his books again. So I feel privileged to have the opportunity to own one of his knives. Jason Browse is making me a one-off reloader, which should be ready in the next week or two. I'm very excited about that. I have a particularly special custom. I really don't want to name it just yet, but it's a small maker out of France that just does kick-ass amazing work. That's going to be here in August. I just got on the books with Poltergeist Knife Works for a custom 3906. I still have my order in with Una for a hard 3 and an EQ. That is a year and a half away. Just dropped a note in with Lucas Burnley for a really cool custom Quaken. Daryl Ralph, he and I have been talking for about 3 years. I begged him to revive the AXD line, and he is this year. And mine will be one of the first customs that he makes from that. Not only am I happy because he's a beloved friend of mine, but I've been waiting for 3 years to get my hands on that knife. Dave Curtis is going to make me a custom Nano. It's going to be like the Punisher Nano, but with my skull logo that you guys see on my little YouTube channel right over here. Talked with Grayman. I've got a Satu in all black DLC. They're releasing in August. By the way, get on the order list for that because that's going to close up very quickly. Will Moon for a pair of Mark 7s. Special top secret project as well that he's working on that I want to get the first of that. And there's probably still one or two that I can't remember. And when I sat back after typing that list and realized, oh my God, my obsession has reached an all-time high. And it's so much easier to build that kind of obsession with knives. It's so much easier to justify it to ourselves. It's not like collecting anything else. You know, a lot of you know I'm very big into motorcycles. Whether it be the Ducati Diavel or my love right now is my Harley Road Glide. Got a Road Glide custom, 2012. Bought it brand new off the showroom. Super killer bike. Put a fair amount of money into it, customizing. And that's one of those things that it never ends. And it's so easy to spend, ridiculous amounts of money. I find it's easier to fall into that pit with knife collecting than even with accessorizing a freaking Harley. With watch collecting, that was my biggest obsession for the longest time. I find it easier to say no to a watch that I want than to a knife that I want. And all the other things, I'm also a gun collector and things like that. So I still find knives to be the worst for it. You know why? Because you've got makers that'll do stuff like, hey, I'm only going to make this one knife, period. I'm going to make this one just like this. Let's say it's this Glimpse. I'm only going to make one with Amboina wood. And I see that and I go, wow, that's the most beautiful knife I've seen in 8 hours. Oh, I've got to have that. Oh, jeweled titanium and and the Amboina wood and smooth flipper. And then you read that fine print. I'm only going to make one of these. I'm not saying Todd did that. I'm just using this as a clever example. I'm only going to make one of these. Or maybe I'm going to make 5 and I'm going to number them. And it's going to be a lottery system. And whoever piles on the fastest is going to get it. And you get worked up in that exclusivity. Oh my God. I'm going to be the only guy to have that. That was kind of how I ended up with this, my reloader. This is the prototype. I went, oh man, I'm going to have this 4 months before anybody else gets a chance to have one. And nobody's going to have one just like mine. Well, I got to have that. And yeah, I paid a lot of money for it. And I'm totally fine with that. It's so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? Especially on a sales forum, a knife forum. And there are 80 other people online at that exact time that could be looking at that thread at that exact very moment that are checking their PayPal balances. They've always wanted that knife that you're looking at. And you're like, if I don't pull the trigger right now, I'm going to miss out on this. It's so easy for that to happen, even when you've said, I'm done. And that's exactly what I did. I said, for right now, for the next few weeks, after now seeing that list of things, I have things coming in every few weeks at this point. I'm good for a while. I'm not going to search out any particular deals. And I avoided everything that would have inspired me to do so. And then something happened And I found myself on a sales forum, and I saw somebody list a knife that I felt I had to have, and that was the other Rockstead. I went, oh hell, you really don't ever see these come up for sale. This guy's got what I feel is a fantastic price on it. I better just do this because I know that opportunity may never present itself in quite the same way ever again. So I look at my PayPal, and as you guys well know, I don't dip into my main bank account for my toys, for my play stuff. I have my play fund, and if that's depleted, Jimmy don't buy a knife. And Jimmy's okay with that. And I looked at my play fund and went, shit, I forgot I just paid over $3,000 this week on knives that I've ordered or I'm just negotiating for to get it come in next week. Shit. I have $77 in my play fund, and I've got to spend, well, let's just call it under $2,000. So I said, well, looked across my collection. What am I okay with parting with? I could only come up with one knife that I was okay with letting go, and that's this. That was my Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch. Why? Because I got two Curtis F3s, a 3.5 inch and a 4 inch. And to be honest with you, for me personally, this is a better knife. I just like it better. They're very comparable. That's why I'm able to categorize them as such. And I like the F3 better. That doesn't take away from the fact this is a damn great knife. I just prefer the other ones. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not really going to miss that. I'll let that go. So I sold it. And again, in full disclosure, I made a couple of dollars off that sale. The person buying it knew that. So that was totally fine. I don't feel any guilt over that whatsoever. And that put me, over, a good portion of the way to where I needed to be. Then I sat back and went, I don't really want to let any of my other knives go. I'm not really going to sell things to come up to that. So I've given myself a deadline. I worked out with the seller. I said, listen, I keep a play fund. I don't overextend myself financially to support my hobbies. I don't take food off my family's table. I mean, I didn't go quite into that detail. I'm just kind of giving you guys more detail than I gave him. And I said, listen, if you're comfortable with it, would you be okay with holding it for a week? I'm more than happy to give you a substantial deposit so that you know that I'm serious and not some flake job. And he says, yeah, no problem. I'll hold it for you, no problem. And I'm going to take this week and I'm going to see where I'm at. Do I really want to pay the extra, amount of money out of my pocket over and above what I got for the sale of that Hinderer? Is it worth it to me? Yes, it's a very rare opportunity. Yes, it's a very rare knife. And yes, it's something that I feel that I need. But I am not to that obsessed point right now where I can just go, oh, gotta have that, gotta have that, gotta have that, and I'll do anything I can to make that happen. I'm showing this one because it's rather special to me. This was a gift from my friend Rob Walker, who owns Combative Edge. And when my second son was just born, my first son is 15 years old. I now have a 5.5-month-old. And when my little boy Strider was born, me and Rob are always talking back and forth. He just had his son last year. And he says, hey, what was Strider's birth date? And I said, oh, it was December 30th. He says, okay, I'm going to send you a little gift. And he sends me, how cool is this, an SR11 from the new run with the serial number 1230. I love this community. I love the people that are involved in this community. And Rob, thank you so much. That was super, super kind. This is actually for my son. I get to hold it for him for the next 18 years until he's of age to legally own, and hopefully he's responsible enough to carry it. So that's being very well protected. I just brought it out today to just kind of show it off a little bit. Anyway, see, there I go again. There I am rambling after a couple of glasses of Merlot. Ooh. Hey, I've only been rambling for 14 minutes, so give me a break. So I think I've kind of hit that wall for me. That doesn't mean I'm going to quit collecting. As you see, I've got quite a long list, and I'll have plenty more videos to get through the year, that's for damn sure. But I think I've gotten myself to the point now where I can slow down and enjoy the things that I have in my collection. Because one of the things that happens, and we don't always take note of this for a while, is we tend not to enjoy everything we've got because we're always anticipating that new arrival. A friend of mine, he and I were talking about the bodega. And as he was asking me my opinion, as he was considering purchasing one, I found myself gushing just as I did on the day I received mine, just as I did on my initial overview video and my follow-up video that I did on the long-term review, realizing just how awesome and perfect and just super beautiful this knife really is. And you know what? It hasn't gotten my full attention nor my full appreciation in quite a while, because I've been getting this in, and I got that in, and I got that in, and I got that in, and that in, and that in, and that. And we tend to overlook the things that we already have, the things that we already love, that we felt we had to have at the time that we bought them. So I'm going to take this time now to kind of slow down. What is coming in is coming in. I'm not going to actively search out anything. And I'm going to enjoy every piece as it arrives. I'm going to enjoy the pieces that I have in my current collection. And who knows, maybe at some point I'll look through and go, well, now that I've spent some time with this, maybe this isn't the keeper that I thought it was, or maybe it doesn't fire on all cylinders for me. And maybe that'll help me open up my collection a little bit more, make room for something different. But for right now, I'm just going to kick back, relax, and enjoy what I've got. And I think that the real message that I'm sending here is that if you've gotten to that point where all you're doing is you're chasing that next purchase, chasing that next exciting unicorn for your collection, sit back, settle down, and enjoy what you've got and realize how great your collection is. You know what? They don't have to be $1,000 knives or $500 knives. I've always said that. It doesn't matter to me what the knife cost, who made it, the name on the side of the blade. It's about how much enjoyment you're going to get. This is still one of my favorite knives that I pull out and I fondle almost every single day. This is a $150 Boker Epicenter. One of the very few that has absolutely zero issues with it. And I love holding this in my hand. I love everything about this. I love carrying it. I love using it. It's a great size. It's a great weight. It's a great cutter. VG10 steel. I love the grind. There's so much I love about this. And I love it even more maybe because I didn't have to spend $500, $1,000 to get something that I enjoyed that much. So also keep that in mind. Don't ever get so hung up on an image or a name associated with what you're looking at. And it's so hard to keep that frame of mind when you're in, maybe a group of collectors on a forum or in with a real life group of friends that are really into knives. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you'll just look at a knife and go, well, that's pretty cool, but that's a $100 Boker. That doesn't compete with this $1,000 Una or this $1,000 Todd bag. It doesn't have to compete. It wasn't made to compete. If you looked at that and went, wow, I like that. If you held it in your hand and went, I really like this knife a lot. Who gives a shit what it says? Buy it. Enjoy it. Because that, in the end, that's what all of this is all about. It's not about impressing other people, because you know what? And that's the mentality I take. I'm not here to impress anybody. I feel I have a very fair collection of knives. But you know what? I don't care who you are. There's going to be somebody out there with a collection of whatever that's going to make yours look like crap. There are guys that do spend $10,000 a knife. I may love this Medford, and it may be an expensive knife. But you know what? There are guys that would look at this and go, I'd use that for a pry bar. That's only $1,500, $1,600. I'd use that for a pry bar. I have $10,000 knives. So, it's always like that old adage of, it doesn't matter how fast you make your car. There's always somebody out there that's going to beat your ass. Light to light or quarter mile, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You could pull up in a $300,000 Ferrari and that beat up rust bucket of a Nova right next to you at the red light with that 454 wedged in there. He's going to tromp your ass, and he's got about 10 grand put in that whole damn car, and it's held together with zip ties and friggin' duct tape. He's still going to whip your ass. So it doesn't matter to me. It's not a status thing. You buy for what you enjoy. Buy for what you love. And if you don't love it, and you feel that it doesn't have a place in your collection anymore, and you pick it up and go, I like it for so many reasons, but I really don't ever touch it. I really don't ever use it. By comparison to others, I don't like it as much. You know what? Make room for something else that will excite you. Just do it for you. Don't do it to compete and keep up with the Joneses, with your buddies on their YouTube channels or on the knife forums or anywhere else. Just enjoy it for yourself, because in the end, that was your hard-earned money sitting there on that table that's resting in your pocket that you're using to whittle down some wood. Hopefully you're actually using your knives. Just enjoy it for whatever reasons you need to enjoy them for. Anyway, I'd love to hear some feedback and comments from you guys. This may end up wrapping up the series. I don't know if I have anything else left in me for the Obsessive Watch collection. Excuse me, there I go again with watches, because that was my first love in collecting. The Obsessive Knife collecting. If you have any requests or any other, I don't know, subjects you'd like to hear me ramble on about, please do leave them down in the notes below. But let me know where you're at. Have you hit that wall? Are you getting close? And have you recognized how you're going to taper yourself off? I'm glad I came to the realization. I'm glad I've got a little system to help me. I'd love to hear what yours is.